Hello everybody, hope you guys are doing well. So today we would be understanding a little bit of DOM manipulation, and we'll see some important methods and how does DOM manipulation work and why it is so important, and then we will see some ways to do that. Now Java's, and we will see some event handling as well on Java. Now web browsers display HTML documents. Now, what if we want to add our JavaScript to our um, HTML, right? So we do it using a script tag. Now there are different regions where we can add the script tag, and depending on how upon the location how we add the script tag, that is how is our JavaScript will be is going to load, right? So let's see the usage of script tag. Now there are two ways you can add the script tag. One is you can add the script tag along the top of the HTML in the head. Now when we add script at the top, for example, it will look like this. Now why is this not a good way? Because the DOM the DOM formation has still not occurred, right? So at this level the DOM is not yet formed. The I mean it is so DOM is not yet built. So if you try to do any DOM manipulation, or if you try to manipulate the DOM before its formation, it will lead to an error, right? So hence, instead of placing the script tag at the top, it is always preferred to place the script tag once our HTML has been passed and the DOM generation has been completed. So generally, it is a very good practice to place the script tag at the bottom. Okay, this is still at the top, right? We are still on the since the better way of placing or the better way of performing DOM manipulation is to have the script tag placed at the bottom of the HTML, right? By doing so, we are making sure that the script tag this the script tag will work after the document has been generated, right? Uh, or if you are using it on the head tag, then we should always make it to defer, right? So basically defer is making to execute this script tag after the DOM generation has been completed, or make it like async or something. um but the easiest way of without adding any attributes is just place the script tag at the bottom of at the to be the last element, so that once the DOM has been generated, then JS can run and then we can perform all the DOM manipulation. Okay. Now the DOM API mirrors the tree structure of the HTML document. Now let's see what do you mean by the document object model, right? DOM or document object model, or the DOM. The DOM API mirrors the structure of the HTML document. For each HTML tag, there is a corresponding JavaScript element that has been created. Uh, so the DOM represents, for example, there is a corresponding JavaScript element object for each run of the text in the document. There is a corresponding text object. The element and text classes as well as document classes are all subclasses of the more general node class, and node objects are organized into a tree-like structure. The JavaScript can query and traverse using the DOM API. The DOM representation is as below. So let's see one DOM example, right? DOM example. So this is how the DOM tree is going to be looking like. So if you can paste it. So this is how the tree is going to look like. So this is going to be my uh, this is going to be my root HTML element. This is my document tag. Then is my root element. Now then I have two things, right? One I have the head, and then I have the body. So inside the head tag, I'm going to have all the SEO organization things, or my, so this is going to be my search engine optimization things, and this is where the actual content will be present, right? So this is my body. Then I'm going to have, so the all the attributes are also going to attach to the element, right? And then I have the element. So if you see it in is VS Code open? Yeah. If you see this in VS Code, it will look something like where is my index? No, this is, yeah, okay, I have applied. So this is how it let's get rid of the styles. Let's put this thing. This is how it is going to look like. So first is basically so if I should go, okay, let's go on my whiteboard. Let's paste this thing. Let's make it small. Okay. The first is basically the document element that is coming. So no, let's have this color. So first is my document element. So this is nothing but present here, right? So this is the main parent or the main root. Then I come to my HTML. Okay, inside that I'm going to have my, so I have two elements. So this is an opening tag for head. This is my opening head tag, and this is my opening closing edge. And then I have the body as well inside, the body opening and the body close. Here is where the body is starting, and then I have the HTML, basically indicate what type of HTML I'm using, and then I have the doc type. So the doc type H. So this document is basically representing this. I mean, what type of document I'm using. Is it an HTML markup or something else? This could be mirrored this way, and then these things are going to be for my SEO, or my search engine is going to look in here. So web crawlers or web, for example, web crawlers like Google will first, for example, when you make a Google search, it is this thing that is getting crawled on. This is the thing that we are trying to crawl on. Then the next thing that I have is body, right? So then this is my body tag. Remember, the main HTML will have two children. One is my HTML, and then one is my body. Body will have the actual content, whereas the head tag or this region will only contain SEO optimized information about search engine optimization. Now there is no formal definition of a program in client-side language, but we say that JavaScript consists of JavaScript code or referenced. Now, basically, we are trying to understand when is the JavaScript, or in what phase does my JavaScript run. Okay. Okay, the web browser. So this is created by the web browser, right? So this thing creation happens with the help of web browsers. They kind of pass the HTML and generate the tree for it. Now, the web browser creates a document object and begins parsing the web pages, adding element objects and text nodes. When the HTML parses encounters a script tag that does not have any name or sync or defer or module attributes. It adds the script tag to the document and then executes the script. The script is executed synchronously in HTML parser pauses while the script downloads and runs. Okay, so what is going to happen is if I have the script at the top, the HTML parser is going to stop here itself. And then that means if I have a script tag present here, so before this thing is even found, like before the things below it are even rendered or even understood or even found, those will be removed, right? I mean, the script will be stopped here itself. I'll be stopping it here itself. Now, when the parser encoders that is async attribute, so what it does is it begins downloading the script, and if the script is a module, it also recursively downloads all the dependencies and continues parsing the document. The script will be executed as soon as possible after it has been downloaded. But the parser does not. Okay, so now, so we said when we are using, it's better to make use of um, if you are using at the top, we use defer tag, right? So what we are doing here is, so we are deferring or we are waiting till the JS is downloaded and ready, but we are not stopping here the HTML parsing. We're not stopping the HTML parsing. It goes on. As soon as that HTML parsing is, as soon as this content has been downloaded, this will run in an asynchronous manner. The document already state changes to interactive, and then when this is when we can do. Now, any script that have the default attribute along with the module do not have an async attribute are executed in the order in which they are appeared. Okay, the param fires a document DOM content loaded event on the document object marks the transition from synchronous to asynchronous. Now you enter in phase of program execution. Note, however, that there are still be an async scripts that have not executed at this point. The document is completely okay. Now there is the browser files the DOM content loaded. Let's see what does this. What do you mean by DOM content loaded? Uh, Now, uh, a DOM content loaded is the browser event that fires once the initial HTML document is completely loaded and parsed without waiting for style sheets, images, or external resources. Because if you try to access or manipulate the DOM elements before the HTML, you might not exist. Okay. So now there is, now how does the browser come to know that the DOM is? Can we see this event in browser? Okay, when we go to dev tools, is there, for example, if I go to google.com and then I just open the website, so does it directly give me that net sources? No, let's refresh the page now. Do I have any events that is like DOM elements? Do I? No, can I see it live? Visit any website. Now right click, inspect, go to console tab. Okay, now you will see this in the console. So this is my console, right? So I'm just going to paste this thing. Okay, let's say we are paste on this Samsung document document dot add event You can go to performance tab, okay, and in that there is something called as click record. So look for the DOM content loaded. Okay, now let's see. Is it directly available here? So right, click on, and it's going to profile, right, and then reload the page. If I reloaded the page, and this is going to, I let that thing complete. Now go to the performance. Now let's stop, and then in the profile. Okay, so there was any event that was happening here. Now we need to look for some events. Search for events here, animations, timing. No. Uh, yeah, just let's turn it on. So this is Google CDN, thismonts.com. I just wanted to see that. Let's close. Auto inspect. Let it complete the profiling. Now, how to see events here? Is there an option to filter here? Mhm. Let's. Oh, let's click on this scripting. Document dom dot add event. This no dom content. Loaded. See, here is a very good timing diagram. Code waiting for the DOM content. So this is basically what we are showing here. So there is this. This is taken from a browser, right? So this is my initial page load. This is my DOM parse in progress, and then DOM content load. So this event is going to occur by default. So the moment it is going to occur, it is going to indicate that my DOM has been loaded. Now I'm waiting for this load event. Is basically I'm waiting for the JavaScript to load in here. Okay. Now, okay, that one, the same origin policy, we'll see that is more sort of a networking thing and not something related to. We'll see that later on. We'll see what Google CDN is, and there is a so how to query and alter documents. So the way we do is now there are different ways of performing DOM manipulation, right? So let's see. Uh, है उसको क्या बन गया. Now there are different DOM. Now remember DOM. So this is an API because this is not a. Now remember we need. Okay, so this is where things start getting confusing, right? Now this is not. Also remember this is we so okay now yeah why it's an API we are saying we need to check that. So let's come here. Now what is an API? So API is basically that is going to sit between our so as a this is our server, right? So we are not going to work or we are not going to send request to the server. We are going to talk to the API. The API is going to do the hard working of talking with the server. We are just going to send. So the API gets the request. It's the like we don't send it to the we don't send it to the server. We are just sitting between the API and it's the server job to perform the work. So this is my application programming API. And then this is my client, right? So we are going to communicate with the API. The API is going to talk to our server in similar ways. So when we are talking about DOM manipulation, we are directly talking. We are trying to manipulate the HTML, right? So we use an interface in between. So this is my JavaScript, right? Ideally this should be on the opposite side. Okay, let's move it here and let's have this. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to communicate to the with the browser, right? So we have our JS sitting here. So we are going to use an interface in between. This is nothing but my DOM API that is going to work and interact with the. This is my DOM API. This here is where I have my DOM API sitting. And this is going to go and interact with the HTML and not the JavaScript code itself. Basically, it's like a browser interface. It's a browser interface sitting in between my JS so that my JS can interact with the HTML, right? Okay. Now, so there are different types of ways in which we can what do you say? We can perform DOM manipulation. So okay. So suppose if you want to select so we want to select a specific tag, right? So first let's deal with selecting a tag, and then we'll see all the possible ways we can do that. Okay. Selecting HTML. The way we can do is there are different methods we can use. So the first one is basically document dot get element by ID. Now by ID when we so this is basically our by ID what we are meaning is this is my ID's selector, right? So in CSS you have something called as an ID selector. So we are selecting based it on ID. Now this is my class level selector. I do querySelector. This is selection by tag name. So you can directly select elements by tag name. The query selector also, when I do this, what I'm going to generate is an array of all the elements that are having this class in it. Now, okay, so first, basically, the first is basically we taught how to select the HTML elements, right? The next is basically what if we want to modify modify the HTML content. So modify HTML. Now there are two ways or two popular ways to do it. One is basically you can do it. So one is using um, text content, and then we other is using inner HTML. So we will see what is the difference between text content and inner HTML. Like it's there is a subtle difference between both of them. Now, now what does text content do is because it will only select or get only the text. So basically, we are only working with the text here. We are not working at a tag level. This is only with the text. This is only with the text. Whenever when you do an inner.html, when you do inner.html, we are going to actually work with the entire HTML tag. Like that entire HTML um, tag is what we are working with. This is basically when we are trying to so this is basically working at the HTML level, and this is only we are only modifying the content. There is no we are not doing anything with the tag itself. We are just doing the content modification. Some like okay, now what is safe and what is bad, we'll see that when we are a little bit more ahead in networking. We'll see that like which is a better way and which is a bad way when we are trying to uh, change the content. Now the other is basically when we are so what if we move on to add or remove a class, right? So then we can do okay. So basically what we are doing is here we are doing um, class addition or removal, right? So this is a part of HTML, right? How to do so there are 2 to 3 ways to do this. We'll see now what happened. We'll basically modifying class. So how to do this, we'll see that. Okay, so this is what we are when we do this, what we are trying to do is basically so this is my class list, right? So what internally happens with classes is a list is maintained. We'll see what this class list is. Class list. So there is two ways, right? Class list and then we have class name. We'll see which is what. Now there is a difference between classes and class name, right? Two ways to work with CSS classes in JavaScript. Now when you're using class name, first of all it has to be okay. Before we let's see difference between class list and class name. So what does class name do is basically first of all it will be a string. Second is between the whole class string has to be modified. Like uh, we cannot the whole class string needs to be accessed, like whole class. Not good for replacing. So then when we need to replace all classes, we use this. No. So now what does DOM does is so DOM will produce like a DOM token list, and it will have it will generate an array that will be an which will contain all the classes, right? So what we are going to do is we can manipulate the individual so okay, class list. Now as the name suggests, there has to be a list maintained, right? So a list has to be maintained. So what the DOM will do is DOM will create a DOM token that will contain um, the list of all classes a tag has. For example, that means what you are trying to say. Suppose if this is my HTML markup, right? Uh, what happened? Okay, suppose this is my HTML markup. Let's go here and then let's say div. Let's say div dot square dot big dot. Okay, so this is our HTML. Let's see. Let's get this thing. Okay, suppose this is our HTML, right? Now, okay, let's just be highlight. So what it the DOM will when the DOM parsing is happening, what we are going to do is these are three individual classes, right? So these are three individual classes that are being applied to the same tag, right? So then what the DOM token is going to generate a list of all these classes. So uh, the DOM token so the DOM token is going to generate a list which has all the classes here. So you have square, you have big, and you have highlight, right? Now the value, so basically this Yeah, this value is nothing but indicating all of them, right? This is the class value. So what we are going to do is, so when we use class list, we are going to manipulate this list on a specific element. So first, basically, what we need to do is we need to select the element. Once the element has been selected, this is done by DOM, right? So DOM will internally generate this list. We just need to manipulate this list. We can loop over it. So this is like a normal array. So what all we can do on an array, same things can be performed on this, right? Like all array methods are applicable on this. Hmm. So this is, but then the advantage is, so what we can do is now last name will we need the entire string, entire class, right? The whole class. But here individual classes can be modified or added, right? And there are certain other additional behavior as well that class list provides. So you can the additional work that additional facility that class list does is, so you get this additional features along with class list. So you can either add a class, remove a class, add if missing. So this is toggle is going to, the toggle is going to like this is needs a boolean value, right? It's going to check if this class is present. If it's missing, then we are going to add. If it is present, then we are going to remove. Contains is again a boolean value, so this is a boolean value, true or false. So, okay, toggle does not have a boolean value. Yeah, this is basically toggling. Like, so if that switch is on, then you need, when it's on, when you toggle it, that switch will be in off position, right? This is on, so this is on position, this is off. So on similar, if on similar lines, um, if the class is missing, then you are going to add. If the class is present, then you are going to remove it. The items is, this is basically going to be my boolean. So this is going to be a true or a false value. The item gets the class at a specific, so at a specific index. So whatever index you mentioned here, you can get the items and that. So this is basically for manipulating class, right? The next that we have is basically you can even change the style as so. Inline styles can also be changed, I guess. So let's go with inline styles now. We haven't done with removing, right? Inline styles. So you can add or manipulate the inline styles as well. Okay, so yeah, you can either okay, for example, let's say this. This is basically adding inline CSS. So okay, the way it is going to work is first is basically you're going to select the element. So you're going to do a get. Oh, let's get, yeah, you're going to select the element here. Once we have the element in position, now then we are going to add it and add an inline style on it. The style dot color dot blue is an inline style that is going to come, and then style dot background color is again an inline style that is going to called as background color, which is going to be applied. There's a difference between background color and color. So background color is when you are having a background, right? This color is related to text, I guess. The color is referring to the text color and background color is referring to the background itself. For example, so background you are going to color the entire box what is present. The entire box is going to get colored, right? Because we are we say elements have like in CSS are a box model, right? This is going to be this entire background is going to change. Okay, now the next thing is basically we did selecting, then we did how to change the class. We saw how to change the instance. Now this is basically when we are going to create a node, like when we want to create a node and add it to our DOM. There are two things that we need to do. Right? So DOM dot create element is basically what is going to add the basically what is going to create the tag. And then if you want to add some content, okay, so this is, let's assume this is my HTML, right? Now what I want to do is using JavaScript I want to add one more element here. This is a p tag. I need to push in a p tag between h2, right? So the way that is going to work is the way it is going to work is, okay, so what we are going to do is first is basically we are going to create the element, right? So we need to create the p tag. So we'll be having this p tag created over here. Now inside this p tag we need to add some content as well, right? So there are two methods I said. So instead of using inner HTML, we'll only add in the content, right? So we'll see with text content. So we are doing the text content. So this is what is going to be placed in between now, and then we need to append this to our down tree, right? So then what we are going, and when we need to be, so this is basically a child of my div, right? So in down tree this will be like my container, and then I will be having one as h2, right? So this is my container present here. Let's say this is my div, and then I have one container as h2, right? And this is my h2. So let's say, so what I'm going to do is I need one more child to this, right? So I need a one more child that is going to be my p tag. So this is my p tag. Now I'm going to append it. So by appending it, what I'm going to do is, okay, so for so this div and this div is nothing my can be referred by my class, right? So I can do a document dot query selector. Oh, this is my ID, right? So either I can do a document dot get element by ID, because this is having an ID, right? Now I get to this container, and then so that is this div has been selected, and then the last step is what I'm going to appending. I'm going to append. Now this new para is basically referring to this p tag. Instead of storing it over here, you can directly write it here as well. It will not make any difference. This is basically when we are doing uh, child. So what if it's the element is not a child? So what we can do is there is one more way. What if the element is not a that does not want to be a child? So that for that we can use something called as insert before. So the way insert before is going to work is, this is basically my new tag. Here is my new element that is to be added, and this is the reference of some other tag that is already be there in the DOM. Okay, now whenever you use append, okay, that's okay. Okay, So when we say document.body, basically we are okay. So now there is one more ways of selecting elements, right? You might have often seen document.body, right? So document is basically referring to the entire HTML thing. This is referring to the entry point for our where our actual markup is going to be present, right? It's going to be present in the body. This is my body, and inside the body is what I'm going to be. Okay, this is my full HTML. This is my full HTML. You can also append directly to the body. It's just an easier way of writing. So what is now you might arise, since body is an HTML tag, can we use any other tag like h2 or h1? The answer is no, because it is only the body that is getting exposed at that. So we can only use body to do that. So whatever is there are other things as well. Whatever is getting exposed, right? Uh, whatever is getting exposed. By exposed means so in the document tag, whatever we have as root elements, only we can. I guess it's that. So we can only access certain core structural tags. We can access the other tags because it's only those tags that are uh, these are basically said to be, because if you see it in this way, like any structure inside the body can be referred, right? And these are basically going to be my parent elements. So if you go in the DOM, for example, if you see this, this is basically my root level elements, right? This is what are my root. So either it could be this HTML, this hand, or body, or something like that. Only those structural elements can be accessed using document dot, because only those are exposed, and these are structural, right? If you see it in a logical way, these are what are going to define the structure, right? Because these are the remaining tags are going to be a children of this. So this is what is the main thing, that is the structure. So you cannot have a document dot h1 or something like that. You will have to do you'll have to either access that element using its id class, or element using document dot like get by element, get by the tag name itself, or get by something else. You will be using some sort of API. Can't directly do document that body. And this is basically for creating nodes, right? So we already saw how to create a node. Now we'll see how to remove a node from DOM. So removing a node is quite simple, right? You just select, and then um, So there are two apparent ways that we do remove and remove child. So then what is the difference between deleting and removing? Like not they are not the same, right? So when we remove the road, because what we are trying to say is we are basically taking it out of the DOM tree. Now removing, so when we are deleting a node, we are removing the reference of the node for memory optimization or something else. This is a subtle difference between them. To remove, there are two ways to remove. One is either you do element dot. So the way to remove, so to remove an element, you have two methods. So you can go here. So there are 2 to 3 different ways in which you can remove. First is basically, okay, you can do either an element dot remove. Let's and this and then, or either we can do remove elements. This is also the same. So either we can remove a child or the element itself. We have two different methods for it. So I guess that is all for DOM manipulation. Yes, that is all for this DOM manipulation part. We'll see in adding event listeners, and we'll see how the event propagation is going to happen, and some few methods as well on event listening. That's all for this lecture. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till that.